Familiarize yourself with all aspects of the installation before beginning the installation process. The items needed for the installation will be the Fasten Tracker BT60f 400 2KT or 3KT kits. The 2KT and 3KT Fasten Tracker models are identical, other than the 3KT kit includes the Alltech anchor block, part number SYS/4657, which is installed onto the Alltech anchor point. AT8040 adhesive, a dispensing gun, 2 mixing tips, one is a spare if needed, isopropyl alcohol, paper towel, and a marker pen. The AT8040 adhesive must be applied at a temperature above 50 degrees Fahrenheit. If temperature is below 50 degrees, carefully warm up the surface of the bucket with a heat gun to the proper temperature range. Be careful not to overheat the surface. Go to the Weld Mount Systems website for additional information. Determine the desired location for the Fasten Tracker system on the outside of the basket, near the certified anchor point on the boom. Wipe down the outside area of the basket with isopropyl alcohol to ensure a clean surface for the adhesive to bond to the bracket base. Place the entire Fasten Tracker unit up against the location outside of the basket to gauge and determine proper height and positioning for the installation base and bracket to be located. Make sure that the attachment detector trigger is positioned high enough above the basket lip to allow sufficient clearance for the lift operator's safety lanyard to easily attach with the clearance above the basket lip, and also allow room for the basket cover to slip over and under the basket lip. When the unit is determined to be at the proper level and position, mark the alignment with a pencil or marker. Set the Fasten Tracker aside for now. Place the adhesive cartridge into the dispensing gun and install the mixing tip onto the adhesive tube. Apply the adhesive to the bracket base as shown here in black marker. The adhesive is applied about 1/4 inch from the outside edge of the base, and then apply the adhesive onto the base surface area as shown here. This will produce a strong, lasting bond to the fiberglass basket. Now position the base within your alignment marks designated on the basket wall. Press the base firmly into position for approximately 90 seconds. And until there is no sliding movement of the base before proceeding. Or apply a C-clamp such as seen here. The adhesive is curing and bonding into position on the basket for 30 minutes at this stage. While the basket base adhesive is curing for 30 minutes, proceed to wiring the Fasten Tracker harness into the aerial lift control box. Wiring installation required tools and equipment are a wire stripper crimping tool, 4 spade wire terminals, 1 butt splice crimp connector, the DOM2 lower boom enabler, and the Fasten Tracker wiring harness. Gain access to the interior of the control box. Carefully insert the Fasten Tracker wiring harness into the aerial lift control box. Turn on power to the lift. The Fasten Tracker wiring harness has 3 wires, red, black, and white. Add crimp terminals to the red and black wires. The red wire is for connection to the control box 12-volt terminal location. Use the control box's schematic or a voltmeter to identify this 12-volt terminal and connect the Fasten Tracker's red wire to this terminal. The black wire is a ground. Attach this wire to an existing ground. It is now time to add the lower boom enabler module, OEM part DOM-2. This DOM-2 will ensure that the up switch activation of both the upper and lower boom will activate the warning alarm when necessary. Splice the solid white wire from the Fasten Tracker wiring harness to the solid white wire input of the DOM-2 module using the butt splice. The two output wires of the DOM-2 module are white with distinct red markings. Add crimp terminals to both of these wires. Next, connect one of these wires to the upper boom up switch terminal and the other to the lower boom up switch terminal. Ensure that these terminal connections are properly tightened. Fasten Tracker wiring is now complete. Tie wrap the DOM module and tuck into position neatly within the control box. Leave the control box open for now until after we have tested the alarm function. If the required 30 minutes for the bracket base adhesive to cure has elapsed, it's time to place and secure the installation bracket onto the bracket base. Align the position of the holes on the installation bracket with the 4 stud bolts on the base and slide the bracket onto the base. Now tighten the provided nuts, which will secure the Fasten Tracker bracket into its position on the base. The white PVC holster clip that slips over this bracket has Velcro adhesive on both sides of the holster clip. Secure this Velcro onto both the inside and outside surface of the bracket using 10 seconds of firm pressure. It is this firm pressure that activates the bonding strength of this hook-to-hook adhesive. Now attach the Fasten Tracker wiring harness connector from the boom control box to the connector coming from the Fasten Tracker control box. Carefully tie wrap wiring harness into a nice, neat position. Attach the Fasten Tracker anchorage extension safety lanyard to the boom anchor point, where it must remain at all times. Test the installation before continuing by activating the upper boom up switch, then the lower boom up switch, without the safety lanyard connected to the Fasten Tracker detector trigger. The Fasten Tracker should sound an immediate alarm when the aerial lift basket makes a very slight upward movement. If this alarm fails, check the connection. Now connect the safety harness lanyard to the Fasten Tracker detector and activate the up switch. There should not be any alarms. When finished, close the control box as required. The Fasten Tracker model BT60f 400 2KT installation is now complete. If the bucket truck is an all-tech and a model BT60f 400 3KT Fasten Tracker, you will need to now attach the anchor block OEM part SYS 4657 to the all-tech anchor point on the boom using the two 8/32 Phillips head screws and nuts provided. The anchor block clips into place and is secured over the far side of the all-tech anchor point, furthest away from the operator and aerial lift basket. This all-tech anchor block ensures that the Fasten Tracker's anchorage extension lanyard snap stays in its proper position nearest the basket on the all-tech anchor point while the boom is elevated and descending.